Next piece I'll be talking about is Solaria at Giubbe Rose, I think, Rosse, I'm not sure. But the city and country of work is Florence, Italy. And the civic location is the PT Palace. And the artist responsible for the work is Bacchio Maria Bacci. I don't know. His nationality is Italian, and the medium of work is oil on canvas, and the period of work is abstract surrealism era, but it's kind of like a recall to futurism as well. It's kind of like a hodgepodge of a couple different ones, but it is from more of like the surrealist era. The historical relevance of the work is that it takes place in the modern day Piazza della Repubblica in Florence, and then it was a place in the 1910s where the Cafe Giubbe place, one of the title, they hosted a lot of debates on futuristic avant-garde art, and the other part of the namesake of the piece, the Solaria magazine, was a futuristic literary magazine that ceased publication in 1936 after being censored by fascist authorities. How long it took to create was actually about 10 years. It's finished and was dated in 1940. It's unclear if he worked on it the entire time. My theory is no. And when we get into details, I'll talk more about it. But my theory is that he started working on it, stopped, and then restarted in like 1940. Anyways. But this work is important because it's an artistic representation of a very delicate moment in history when this elegant cultural atmosphere of La Solaria magazine and its entourage saw action and independence while concentrating purely on literary interests, which avoided the control of the regime. So it's kind of like this artist's interpretation of this entire period of history. This was also right when Italy got involved in World War II and everything. So it's just a very heavy personal interpretation of the historical moment he was going through. The defining characteristic of this work is that the scene is divided into wedges, points with bands of lighting. And it repeats certain aspects while avoiding others. There's a group of men in black suits in the very middle, like near the bottom. And there's like a man in a top hat beside him, and it's theorized that it's supposed to represent someone like eavesdropping and spying on their conversations, reporting it back to someone else. It's a scene full of people. It's supposed to be like a bar. There's a lot of details. To the left, there's like waiters. To the right, there's like people playing chess. There's people talking behind them. You can see like different parts of the piazza behind them, like the sculpture and the buildings and everything. The historical contributions, as mentioned, he was a contributor to Solaria himself at times, even though he's not like included in this group of men, he did contribute to the Solaria. He was a painter in the Tuscan Novecento movement, and he also published various books on contemporary art movements. He was born to a family of artists, and he kind of worked all throughout like futurism into like the 40s and 50s. My personal observation is that there's a lot of inconsistency in the details. There's like some indecipherable faces, while also the men are pretty realistic themselves. The women right behind them look like they're from a completely different art period. The guy playing chess is being like repeated like it's in a fractured mirror, while almost nothing else is being repeated like that. Just very inconsistent, kind of all over the place. I chose this work because unlike I saw some of his other work in the other EVT gallery and in the PT Palace, it was just cool to see, like, I saw, like, Afternoon the Feast Sole, and it was a very different art style, and it's just cool seeing an artist go through such a stylistic change. How it compares to other works, the painting is stylistically unusual when compared to the artistic range of the 1930s, specifically in Italy, and it's more in line with art emerging when it was actually finished, which is why I think it was actually finished around that time. Anyways, fun fact is that Piazza della Repubblica is one of the main squares in Florence and marks the center of the city in Roman times.